I hope you're having a great day. What I'd like to do today is just talk to you a little bit about what we think is one of the most important and perhaps often neglected aspects around digital transformation, and that's us. And I'd like to talk about really why we think people are the key to digital transformation. So I will share my slides and aim to take sort of just under 20 minutes, and maybe we'll have some time, if possible, for a little bit of a quick Q&A as well. So hopefully you can see the slides, and just introducing myself just a little bit. My name's Hugh Terry. I'm based here in Singapore. I've been here for about 20 years, and I'm the founder of the Digital Insurer. So what I'd like to go through today is really these three topics. Let's just reprise a little bit the acceleration of digital transformation, why there's an urgency now that we can all feel so keenly. Let's look at and answer that question of why people are key. And then if you agree with that, well, what needs to be done? And let's just touch on that topic as well in the time that we have available. So just a little bit about the Digital Insurer. For those that are not aware, we're really around our mission and purpose, if you like, working together to accelerate the digital transformation of insurance. We've got a knowledge hub and community of about 40,000 people around the world. I think about 5,000, close to 5,000 are in India. So it's a real pleasure to have the opportunity to speak to some of you today directly. We've got a number of corporate members, insurers that are supporting on that. So thank you to all of those insurers that are doing that. And let's get going. And back in early April, just as COVID was breaking, my colleague Simon Phipps, who's actually on the next panel, issued an industry warning. And we don't issue industry warnings very often, and certainly it's not intended to criticize anyone. It's more of a wake-up call, including a wake-up call to ourselves, really, that executive teams must urgently accelerate their digital transformation efforts. And why is that? What we realized early on during COVID was that consumer adoption of digital was going to leap ahead. Wider use of technology that we've seen, new user groups adopting technology. And really our key prediction was that suddenly we've moved to the point beyond the tipping point, beyond the point at which we can go back. We're seeing widespread adoption of digital. And then we went a little bit further in this white paper, which you can download from the TDI site. And we looked at the insurance industry. And as we all know, the insurance industry has been behind most other industries in terms of adoption of technology. So pre-crisis, we'd have probably said insurance is a couple of years behind everyone else. But now all of a sudden, consumers have leapt ahead. In our view, they've leapt ahead at least 2 years. So the challenge for the insurance industry effectively is it has to pick up the pace of digital transformation just to stay in the same position. And we think that those insurers that sort of take a crisis view to COVID and act in a short-term manner will fail to reposition themselves effectively for this digital world that's now well and truly upon us. So this is a time for strategic investment in digital transformation, not for short-term reductions in expenses and in budgets. We're very pleased that Microsoft, shortly after our paper, kind of agreed with us, although the CEO, Satya Nadella, said they'd seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in 2 months. We don't quite agree with that because we see consumer adoption having moved ahead, but we think in the insurance industry, of course, you cannot transform 2 years in 2 months, and there's a lot of work ahead for all of us to do. And it's not just about COVID, right? We've also got more broadly these unstoppable forces at play. And just to go through very high level, these four: changing consumer behavior beyond COVID, the rise of mobile access to the internet, the rise of digital payments allowing convenience and access of purchase of insurance to many who previously would not have been able to do so. The rise of ecosystems and industry convergence, which is allowing broader and more attractive propositions and that ability to connect meaningfully with customers in a low-cost fashion. And last but not least, what we've seen over the last few years is the ability to deploy better technology at lower cost. So really the price of engaging in digital transformation has fallen from pure technological perspective. So really we sort of summarize this in quite a strong message, saying business as usual as a strategy is no longer an acceptable risk. It's too risky to stay where you are. We all need to move along on the adoption of digital. Easier said than done, right? This data from the Everest Group, there's also other data from McKinsey, tells us that most digital transformations fail to meet their objectives. Everest estimate just over 3 out of 4 digital transformations do that. So I think the question for all of us really is, how are we going to beat these odds as we've got this urgent need to transform? So this is where, from a TDI perspective, we think people are key. And if you look closely at our logo, when we established this logo, we were very deliberate in our design. And I hope you can see the zeros and ones, but more importantly, I hope you can see the DNA that makes up the D, the people aspect. And for us, we've seen digital transformation, the fourth industrial revolution, as effectively the merger of how humans and technology are going to coexist. So it's not a simple question of just adopting technology, it's adopting technology that's going to work with the grain of who we are as a species, as a race. So when we look at this digital transformation, and I'm sure that most people at this summit are 100% signed up to digital transformation, the question then becomes, okay, how do we do this? And McKinsey issued a report called Harnessing the Power of Digital in Life Insurance. You'll see these 5 components. You'll see there this 4th component around digital culture, talent, and organization. And that's the one I just want to focus on for the time we have available today. And then McKinsey, again, another interesting report, McKinsey Culture for a Digital Age. Just look at this. Culture is the most significant self-reported barrier to digital effectiveness by some margin, right? It was the highest barrier to digital effectiveness. So it really is that important. And then there's some other research from Capgemini that was issued, I think, just over a year ago, showing that those companies that are getting breakthroughs, that are adopting digital culture, 5 times greater likelihood of reporting a breakthrough. And nearly 80% of companies that focused on culture reported sustained, strong, or breakthrough performance. And the reverse is true as well, and quite conclusively. So this Boston Consulting report did a study, and it wasn't just in the insurance industry, it was across industries, and said how many companies that had neglected cultural change had achieved successful digital transformation. And out of these 79 studies, there were none that were reporting digital transformation success. So I think this is a very strong and very clear message, and very apt for the time we are in now, where it's become crystal clear that we need to accelerate our digital transformation. So why does it make sense, really? There's 3 reasons that we have here: empowering people to deliver faster, to enable you to attract the new talent that's needed on this transformation as well. And also it sort of works with the grain, those unstoppable forces that I mentioned earlier. We're moving into an increasingly digital world. So why wouldn't you have a digital culture that will go along with that? And I think it's worthwhile, I expect you've seen this quote many, many times before. We always overestimate the changes that will occur in the next 2 years and underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10. And I always think this is a great reminder for those CEOs who are a little bit measured by quarterly performance. We ain't going to get there if we just look at quarterly performance. We've got to look longer term, because cultural transformation cannot happen in one quarter. It has to happen over many years in reality. So what needs to be done? I just thought I'd give you a couple of examples really here on this. And this one from AIA was in their recent investor presentation. They have a new digitally oriented CEO at the helm. And if you look at the areas I've marked, they talk about empowering their culture. They talk about increasing digital technology and analytics talent at scale through both upskilling and recruitment. And then this other example, which is from Zurich, is a recent press announcement that was made a couple of months ago now, where if you look at this, they're looking at changing organizational structure for a digital world, creating a new unit. They're bringing in new digital talent. In this case, Zurich's new Chief Information and Digital Officer is the former CEO of Ping An Technology. And then last but not least, and really quite interestingly, you see a new role here in that last bullet point, a Group Chief Transformation Officer, whose role is to transform the organization and also enhance cultural change. So bringing together the technological transformation with the cultural transformation as well. And this is something that TDI we feel quite passionately about, and is something that we are well invested in. And we sort of encourage leadership teams to broaden and accelerate digital transformation, if you like, moving digital from the few to the many. So we see success as not just establishing small specialist teams of digital experts, but also infusing, encouraging, providing opportunities for everyone in your organization to adopt this digital culture that needs to be permeated throughout the organization. And we're very pleased. We started last year, we've been delivering this year a range of virtual learning and development programs. And we have here a pyramid. And what we're trying to do is provide learning and development opportunities in a virtual basis at the right time and at the right price and the right people. And we're really pleased that we've had the industry support on this, because we think learning and development is not just around upskilling. It's actually about sending that message to your entire organization that you are serious about introducing a digital culture. And I thought I'd just end on this slide, and then maybe there'll be some opportunity for Q&A. Just, what are those key success factors? I'm sure there's more than this. I'm sure you can think of others as well. But these 7 I thought resonated with me. So that focus on the customer, moving away from internal to external focus, trusting people, so you delegate down in the organization, focusing less on planning and more on doing, building a teamwork culture, not one that's based on individuals. The superstar very rarely is the person that transforms the organization. Being willing to take risk. Insurance is the business of taking risk. We have to take the risks now to transform our culture and to accelerate digital transformation. And then involving all in acquiring those new skills, that lifelong learning habit. And then last but not least, in recognition that this is not easy, let's have a look at how we can formalize some of the change management aspects as well. So I hope you found that interesting, thought-provoking, and I hope we may have just a couple of minutes for any questions that you may have as well.